Today I'm going to be looking at the Number Dies and Stencils from Crafter's Companion. So if you look at the stencil, you've got several lines, so this means you can do lots of matte and layers with the stencil, but you've also got the coordinating number die that fits nicely inside, so you've got lots there for your matte and layers. But with today's project I'm going to show you how you're going to use your stencils in a different way, and we're going to make a mini yearbook. So for the project I am going to be using Sarah's Parisian collection. Okay, so this has just come out, and I'm going to be using the seam binding ribbon, the 8x8 paper pad, and I've got the luxury cardstock in the pearl and also the linen look. So I'm going to be using the pearl cardstock to make the main basic book. I'm also using from Crafter's Companion the self-adhesive sheets. These are double-sided self-adhesive sheets. If you can't get these, any others will do quite nicely, but I find these work really well because they're super sticky, so perfect for making the spine on the book. So let me show you what we're going to do to get started. So as I say, we're going to make a mini yearbook. So for this I've actually picked myself out 14 of the pearlized cardstock, and this cardstock is great for this project because it's double-sided, so I don't have to worry too much about the other side. So I'm going to make one that is multicoloured with all these beautiful colours that come in the collection. Okay, but I have also made a prototype here just in white, so you could do this just with your double-sided cardstock. I've used Centura Pearl here, so you could do this quite easily in white. So this is going to make you a nice substantial yearbook to add your photographs. So let's get started. So I'm going to start with I've arranged my papers so I've got the back and the front mirroring each other. So if I go to the middle here, there we go. So this is page 6 and 7, so this is going to be the middle of my book, but as you can see as we go through they're going to mirror. So when we do the spine cover is going to be the colour of the cardstock that we're actually using. Okay, so let's make a start on this. So I've chosen purple for the back cover. So for the back cover I'm going to cut this down at 10¼ inches. So this is going to allow me for the numbers that are going to come off. So I'm just going to cut that down to 10¼ inches. I'm going to keep that little bit as well. So that's my front cover, and while we're here I'm going to do my back cover as well because they're going to mirror. So again at the 10¼ inches, keeping those pieces. That's my front and back cover already done. So now let's make a start on how we're going to put the pages together. What I've done is I've gone through and I've just numbered my pages so I know what order I'm doing them in. So this is number 1, and I put it there because we are going to be actually covering this with our 8x8 paper pad, and that is why I've chosen the 8x8 paper pad, because we've got the cardstock at 8¼ so it gives you a nice rim all the way around. So bringing in your scoreboard, this is what you're going to do for each of your pages. Let me just move these bits to one side. I've got my big score here purely because I want to go up to the 8¼ mark. So I've got it on the long side. You're going to do this for each page. I'm going to go along to 8¼ so that's your 8 inches, and then you go along 1, 2 notches, and I'm just going to score down. I'm not going to go all the way down, I'm just making a mark down. And then what you can do is if you come follow it down, or get your score line down here, you can do a little nick in the bottom just so you know that is the line. Another way you can do this is once you've done your part line down, if you then flip it and just do yourself a little nick at that 8 1/4, it just helps you find your page is going to be square. Then what you're going to do is you're going to take your stencil, so this is number 1, and you're going to take your die. And the reason I say take your stencil and your die, so you make sure you've got your die the right way round and you've got your stencil the right way round. So I'm going to position this in place. Now I'm not going to make my line on the outside of the stencil, I'm going to make it on the next one in. If you look at your stencil carefully, you'll see that you've got several lines, so this is where you can do your mat and layers on your cards. I'm going to use the next line in, which is this one just here. So just take this, position it where you want it. You know you've got your bottom mark here and your top mark there, so I can bring this down at a later date. So position your 1 where you want it to be. So you're going to have it slightly coming off the page, which is perfect. This is what I want. I want that sort of depth looking through this. And then I'm going to just go with my pencil and follow these lines around. And then that's going to come down the bottom. So then when I remove this, you can see I've got my pencil line made in its place. And then what you're going to do is bring this back into your scoreboard, and you're better off not to score too far down to start with, because my number starts down here. So you're going to come back into your scoreboard, follow your line layout down, and now you can go exactly to your pencil line that you've created with your number. The next thing you will do is to get a pair of scissors, and you're just going to cut around the pencil line carefully, because this is going to give you your shape. Okay, and I've got my pages numbered, so I'm not going to get in the muddle at all. So you're just going to cut round this really carefully to give shape to your page. And this is what you're going to do on every single page. So that's number 1. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to continue doing these until they're all done. Now do not throw this away, because this is going to be used to make the hinges. Okay, so keep these to one side because we will be using these, and you can also use these for die cuts and elements to put inside your book. So I'm going to continue. That's number 1. I'm going to come back with number 12 just to show you how to do your double figures. Okay, so I'll see you shortly. So I'm now on to the double figures. So I've got month 10, okay, which is October. So rather than drawing around the 2, you're only going to, or the 2 numbers I should say, you're only going to draw around the 0 again, because what we'll do is when we mat and layer them, we can overlap them so we've got nice space for putting photographs. So again with your 1, lining it up, or sorry, your 0, lining it up on the second line here. So look for your little notch. So I know I'm all square. And then with your pencil again, going round on the second slots out, so we're keeping it all the same. So when you're doing your double figures, you're only actually doing your half draw around the second number. Okay, so it's going to look like that. So then we bring in the scoreboard to bring my line down so it all matches in. So picking up my line, bringing that down to that pencil line just there, and then we can cut that one out. And I've done exactly the same on 11 and 12. Now I'm doing this as a yearbook with the months, but you could quite easily do this as a baby's first year and have each month of the baby's first year and put a photograph in it. You could give this as a gift and make it 10 pages, so 10 things I love about you. You know, there's just so many different ways you could use a book like this. You know, so I'm doing the months. It could be school years. You could have, you know, first grade, second grade, third grade. You could go right the way through their school year and do school pictures. So there's lots of different ways you can use this. That's my number 10. I've done my number 11. Can you see I've just got my 1 here on the edge, and I've got my number 12 and I've just got the 2 on the edge. So if I bring in all the pages, and the nice thing about the Parisian collection is you've got all those multicolour pages, so it does look fabulous. So when you square it all up, all your pages are square, and then you've got all this detail going on with the numbers. And what we're going to do with these as we put the book together, this is where we're going to create some extra mats and layers with that lovely cardstock and pattern paper, and then we're going to have our pages on here with the 8x8 paper pads. If I just give you an idea of what we're working towards, so we've got, say that's our 8x8 page ready to receive the photographs, and then I'm going to do another mat and layer number 1 and also die cut a number 1, so that's showing that's January, and of course these are double-sided pages, so you've got 2 months to do it. So that's that part. We now need to look at joining our book together, so we need hinges. Now if you remember in the one that I did in with the white, obviously having all the hinges in white, I didn't have to worry about the hinge showing. I'm going to use the Stack the Deck hinge system from Laura Dennison. I know lots of people have used it on the internet, and I think this works really well with this, but because I've used everything in white, it doesn't matter. But it's going to be slightly different for this book because we're doing colour pages. We want our hinge to show the colour, so this is what we're going to do. So if I start with the middle, so let's find the middle of the book, which is going to be 6 and 7. So that's 6 and 7 hinge. So I've got my pages all here. If you're going to follow me with the colourway, this is what we're going to do. I've done all the working out for you, so you just need to follow me. So I'm just going to pop those up there, and I'm going to bring in my scoreboard. So the first page I'm doing is the middle page, which is this colour. So this is using the scraps. Bring it up there so you can see more. Working in inches again. So I'm going to do my first score line at 1/2 inch. So that's actually going to be used to join my page. For the first one, I'm then just going to do another score at 1/8 inch. And then I need to do another score at 1/2 inch, and that's my first hinge. So I just need to trim away this part here. So I'm going to do these gradually. So that's the first one. So the next one colourway is in the buff colour. So let's see if we've got enough here. So again, I've got 1/2 inch. This time I'm doing 2/8. So from your 1/2 inch go 1, 2 down, and then I'm going to do another 1/2 inch, which is 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that's my second hinge. The next colour is the greeny colour again. So 1/2 inch. This time I'm doing 3/8 inch gap. So from your 1/2 inch, just take your scoreboard, your point if you want, and go 1, 2, 3, score down, and then we need to do another 1/2 inch. So if you're not sure where the 1/2 inch is, if you're a bit worried with your counting, just take it back out onto this ridge here and go 1, 2, 3, 4, and all the way down. So we've taken that hinge then out that scrap. Can you see? Because we're going to cut along there. So that's that one. The next one is pale pink. Let's see if we can get this one out. think we might be struggling on this one. Yes, have I got a bigger piece of pale pink? No, I haven't, so I'm going to need to take some out of my packet here because I haven't quite got a big enough piece in the pale pink, and this is why I've got all the colours here. So, and I've got enough cardstock, but I'm trying to get as much as I can out of the scraps that we're using. So I'm going to bring, oh no, yes, it's that pale pink I need. So for this one, and I will keep those scraps there just to show you. So for this one, you're going to do your 1/2 inch, which is 4/8, or I'm just going to keep it as 1/2 inch, and then you're going to need to go along 4, which is 1/2 inch. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's going to bring you to the 1 inch mark, and then to 1.5. So that one was easy. So if I bring this in here, can you see my card? Oh, I might just have got away with that just a little bit, so I could have just got away with that on that one. Let me just see here, might just have got away with that there, but if you're not sure, take yourself another sheet out. You've got enough in your pack. Okay, so I've taken that out of there. Let me put that there because that's getting in the way. So the next colour I'm after is the lovely pale green. So let's see if I've got enough here. So I'm going to do 1/2 inch, and then I need 5. So 5/8 of an inch. So I'm on my 1/2 inch mark. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way down, and then I need to do 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, which is my 1/2 inch. Oh look, I've just got that one in there, so that's perfect. And then back in with the dark pink. Let's see if I've got enough here. So 1/2 inch. So then we're going to do 6. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way down. And then you're going to do 4, which is your 1/2 inch. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So if you're just working along with me, that's the easy way to do it. And then your final one is your lilac for the cover. Now I know I'm not going to have enough here. Okay, so I have taken myself a fresh sheet of the lilac, but that's fine because I'll be using this to die cut some of the numbers, so it's not going to get wasted. So for this one we're going to do 1/2 inch all the way down, and then we're going to count 7. So go back into your 1/2 inch notch and then go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, all the way down. And then you're going to do your 1/2 inch, which is 4, so just count 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so they're your hinges. So now let's cut these on the guillotine. So we got them in the right place. So let me bring in my guillotine here. So this is my outside cover. So sliding that in. Just making sure it's all square. And that's the nice thing about the guillotine, because we've got all these gridded lines here, I know I'm going to get it square. Okay, so that's my outside cover. Then we went in with the dark pink. You could use scissors, but for me, with the guillotine, with it all gridded out like this, this makes it so much easier. So that's my next one. And then we've got the lovely green. It's like a real, it's a lovely, I wouldn't call it a jade green. It's like a very pale leaf green. Like a, it's not a lime green either. It's just a beautiful colour. And then we're going in with the pale pink, which was my big sheet. And I could have got away with just perhaps having a little bit spare, but I want it to look nice and neat. So if you're not sure, go ahead. You've got plenty of cardstock there. So let's put those aside, because I'll use those later. And then we've got this lovely, this is like this is real sort of minty sort of duck egg colour. It's beautiful. the colour palette, I must say, in this collection is just adorable. So that's that one. Then we've got the lovely buff colour. This sort of peachy colour is just stunning. It's like a real, the ink pad I find works really well with this is the Sandstorm. Works really well with, in fact, look, I need to go over just a little bit more. I went talking too much about ink pads. There we go, that's better. But that's the great thing about the guillotine. See, I can just take that slither off, no problem. And then I've got the last one. I think the hardest thing about with this book is deciding what colours you're going to use on what page. That's the hardest thing you're going to have to choose. So to me, that was what I found. So that's all my hinges all done. So I know they're all going to colour coordinate with my pages. So this is where I'm going to show you now how we're going to join them together. But before I do, I just want to show you, if you're going to make a white book as a base, like this one here, okay, and you're not using your scraps, if you're not using colours, you can quite easily do it out of one sheet of your coordinating white card. And all I've done here is, again, this is an A4 sheet, okay, so all I've done is go along. So I've done my 1/2 inch, 1/8 of an inch, 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch, 2/8 of an inch, 1/2 inch. So just going along. So if you can see, you've got more than enough, because by the time you've done all your hinges, you're going to have that scrap. So you can do it just out of one. And the best thing I found when I'm doing it is if I do it like that and do a little wiggle, I know that's where the hinge is going to be, and this is the bit that's going to stick on the sides. Okay, so there's a little top tip there, but I'm using my beautiful colours. So I'm going to bring out one of these sheets. These are A4 in size. They're double-sided, and the reason I want to use them is they're super sticky. So that's why I want to use them. So I'm not going to fold the score lines yet. I'm going to stick them onto here first. So I'm going to take the backing off. And this is really super sticky, so just to warn you, and this is why I've used it. I could have used score tape. This is the sort of thing we would have used in the past. But why we got these products, you know, why go with loads of tape, score tape, when you can just use a self-adhesive sheet? So I'm sticking the first one on there. And then if I'm careful and butt them up, I should be able to get them all on one sheet. So you can honestly, you can really see how sticky this is. Once this is down, it's not going anywhere. So that's the second one. And I'm just going to continue along like this. Okay, so that is down, because I just find it easier then to cut along the lines while you've got your carrier sheet in situ. So if I just turn that over, I can see my colours. So that's one done, and then this is where you can just burnish then your score lines. So this is the fiddly one, this is the 1/8 of an inch. Okay. So I'm going to cut along all these and burnish my score lines. Right, so that's the last of my hinges all scored, ready to go. So all going to colour coordinate with my papers. So we're going to start on number 1. So if I bring in my two covers, so because we're using the A4 down in the normal size, everything is going to mix and match perfectly. So just make yourself a space. So this is going to be the outside of my cover. So this is then going to fold in this way. So I've just burnished my hinges, and that's what you're going to do as well. Okay, so just making sure they're all nicely burnished, and you can see this is where the quality of this cardstock, see, no cracking whatsoever, just beautiful. So that is going to be my outside. So this is going to be the outside one. So I'm going to get myself a little pokey tool and just grab the edge of the sticky, and as I said, this is really super sticky. Okay, and you will see this when you start using it. This is why I've used this for the hinges, because then I know this book is going to stand the wear and tear and having the photographs put in it. Now, because I've done my burnishing and my scoring, I've got my lovely straight line here for my hinge. So I'm going to take one of, this is the cover, so I'm going to take one of my covers and just take your time now, and really do take your time to line it up, because once this is down, this is not going to move. So just line it up on that edge. A little top tip you can use is if you've got yourself some Pritt stick or a glue stick, you can run a glue stick down it, and that will help. So that is now over, and if I give that a nice rub through burnish, I know that is stuck, that isn't going to move anywhere. So I'm going to flip this over to do the same on the other side, because work where you feel the cardstock is comfortable. All I'm going to say to you as you start doing the number pages, just make sure they're round the right way, and that is why I put the numbers on them. So this is the next one. So again, doing exactly the same again. Just making sure it's all lined up where I want it square. I'm keeping that carrier sheet on there for now, but you do what you feel you're most comfortable with. So this is going to be the outside cover, so you can see how nice that looks, and then we're ready then to put in the next piece. So what I'm going to do is pull this off. I'm going to get my next hinge ready, which is going to be the pink. Okay, this time you're going to stick the pink side to the sticky side. Okay, so I'm just going to fold these round the other way, and you'll know that we did 1/8 of an inch difference, so there's not actually a lot of difference. I'm keeping this album quite not thin but not too fat. We've got enough space to put photographs and the die cuts, not got a lot of space for big embellishments like pearls and flowers and things like that. That's not what this book is about. Okay, so this is great for a beginner to have a go at with these dies and numbers. So this is the part that's going to stick on here, and you'll notice that you've got that 1/8 of an inch difference. So just take your time again, hovering over the top, because once it's down, it's down. So then that's going to go down on there. Okay, so I've got my little gap on each side. Now I'm going to give you a little top tip, because we've got a 1/2 of an 1/8 of an inch, or it's called 1/16 of an inch on this side, and as you can see, it's sticky. If I lay that flat, that's going to stick. So I'm going to give you a little top tip of how we can stop that. So if you've got an embossing pad, you know, like when you put over your paper before you're going to heat emboss, if you've got one of these, If not, get yourself one, because they're absolutely useful when you're doing your heat embossing. This is full of like corn flour, and I'm just going to rub it down the hinge, because that's going to take, it's not sticky anymore, it takes that sticky away. So just run that down your hinge, take the sticky away, and then I just with a brush brush the powder out the way, and now that's not sticky for me to now lay this down. Okay, so that's your little top tip. So let me do the next one with you. So again, we find the corner. So we know we've got pink pages next. So if this is going to be the back, I need number 12. So let's find number 12, which is this one here. It's got 12 on it, so I know that's 12's going on there, and it's going to be 1 on this side. So if I look, I've got my 1, so I'm turning it round that way, so my shapes are on the outside. Okay, so pull the corner away. Okay, move the paintbrush out of the way, Dawn. Right, going again with that straight edge, just taking your time to line that up and lay that down. Now if you're not happy with how that's laying down, I'm not totally happy with that there, so that's not going to come up. No, that's going to stay put. We'll trim off that bottom bit. Okay, now again on this side, told you this was super sticky. Great products. See, if you're going to buy adhesive sheets, you want adhesive sheets that are going to work. So this is my number 1, which is going on this side. So I'm just going to pull that away to get that square with that side, and then lay that down. I'm not totally happy with that end. I haven't burnished yet, so I can pull this one away a little bit. So I haven't burnished, so let's do that one again. Once you burnish, that's it. So actually if I lay it this way and put it up that, you will find the method that suits you. Now that works quite well, doesn't it? So laying that way, going with my tool again. So I'm just going to burnish that. I still haven't taken my carrier sheet off. Have you noticed? I've kept my carrier sheet on. And also what I'm going to do is, while I've got this, I'm going to give this a good burnish, because this is called a stack the deck hinge system. Okay, it's out there on the internet. So that now I know that is nicely stuck to that back page. I've just dropped my bone folder. So we're going to take that carrier sheet back off now, and the next pages are going to be the green. So here I've got number 11, and if I turn this over, I've got number 2. So now the next hinge then I know is my green one, which is, it's in my system, okay, that I've got here. So I need to just turn these to the coloured side. There's my score tool. So just give that a nice burnish. Okay, so that is going to go on the back here. So again, lining this up. You'll have probably better angles than I'll have when I'm filming. So that's going straight onto there. And then just making sure that's lined up nicely. Going in with my dust bag again. Do that side. It's a real nifty top tip, this. See, no sticky now. Brush away the worst. Okay, go in with your, let's make sure it's got a nice stick on that hinge. We don't want this book falling apart once we've got it together. So carrier sheet off, not all the way, so we've got control still, and this is the most important thing when you're doing this, is you've got control. Now I think what worked quite nicely on that last one, this is where I'm even learning all the way along. So if I fold that back like that, this is my number 11 which is going there. So if I fold it this way around, making sure it's all squared up with that page, which it is, and then pop my hinge over, and that works well. So there we go. And then if we do the same on this side, and the nice thing about this is if this type of hinge is worrying you, and I think if you follow me step by step you can do this, if this is worrying you, you could quite easily do some holes with book rings. So there's always ways round, but I think personally a beginner could do this. Just follow the video step by step. That's what these educational videos are for, and you too can create these beautiful projects with the products that Crafters Companion bring you. So that's then number 2. Give that a nice burnish down, take off the carrier sheet, and we go to the next one. So I'm going to continue on, and then I will come back with you and we will talk about the next stage of the book. Right, I'm on my last one now. So I've got page 7 and page 6. So when I take this off, this is going to be sticky. So what I need to do with these is attach my pages first. So on the inside, I've got a nice smooth clean line. So with this one, you're going to take one side off. Now this is a bit trickier because you have got only 1/8 of an inch fold. Okay, so just take your time with it. So I'm going to take the whole thing off this time. It is super sticky and you'll see that it's just going to stick to everything. So taking that off. So this is going to go down this way. So I need to turn my number 7 over. In fact, I might just hold it with the carrier sheet. And then I'm going to line this up. Like that. So that's one side. Because it's just sticking all to my hand. You'll see how sticky it is. So that's one side. Okay, so that's my number 7 that way round. So my number 6 has got to go on that way. Okay, all will come clear as you're putting the book together. You will see exactly what I mean. So now I'm going to lay this on here, giving me that 1/8 of an inch gap. I don't want to take the sticky off it. Now this is where you're tempted to turn over and burnish. This is still sticky, so please don't. So before we burnish the pages, I'm going to remove the last piece of this, fold my page. Can you see I've got that nice fold line there? And then I'm going to position this carefully in the middle. Okay, and then before I go down, I've got that there, so I need to go in again with my anti-static bag and just dust that off on both sides, because if I fold it flat that little bit could stick and I don't want that. I want to save this on my pages, and then just give that a little brush off, and then I can lay it out and go in and burnish that all down. So I'm just sticking all those hinges down. So that is our book all complete. So it's well worth just going along and just making sure all your pages are nicely stuck, because it's all about the construction. The decoration is definitely the fun bit, but we don't want the book falling apart. This is a yearbook, this is going to last us the year, so we want it all looking nice. Okay, so if I bring this together, I've got a little piece sticking up there. Can you see now how your book's coming together? And because we had the cover a little bit bigger, it's allowing all this interest on the edge to see all these beautiful pages. So at this stage, just making sure you're happy with that nice crisp spine on there. It's all stuck together, everything is fitting nicely. Just check your pages are right. So I've got number 1, 2, 3, 4, just checking they're all there. Then we go the other way around, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and then you've got your back page that you could write some notes about the year. So that is the main construction done. Now the fun bit begins, because this is where, say I've got number 3 here, this is where we can start adding 8 by 8 pages. And can you see you've got that 1/8 of an inch gap round the edge, so you have it all nicely finished off. So as I say, the hardest part I think of this project is you choosing out of this beautiful paper collection what pages you're going to put where, because this is the fun part. So I'm going to add my 8 by 8 pages, and then I'm also going to draw around. So this is number 3. Let me bring number 3 in here. So I'm also going to draw around some more stencils and die cut my letters, so I know that is the 3rd month, and I can add my photo mats ready to do that. So I'm just going to go off camera now, sort out what pattern papers I'm going to be putting in, because that is going to be the bit that takes me a little while to do, and I'm sure it will you too. But remember, you've got to keep this embellishments quite flat. So the die cuts in the collection are going to work beautifully because they're flat, okay? But you don't want anything bulky because we haven't got the room for the bulk, okay? So I'm going to sort out my papers. Then we're going to start with the fun bit. Die cutting these are beautiful numbers because they're so great, the size of them. And doing some more mats and layers with our stencils to make them stand out. So I will see you shortly. Right, I've been through my lovely paper pad and I've picked my papers. So because we cut the cardstock at 8 1/4 in size in the main page, this means the 8 by 8 pages just fit perfectly with that little line of cardstock still showing around the edge. So it doesn't mean you have to do any cutting with these whatsoever, just stick those down. So I'm just using my all-purpose for that. And then you'll notice in the corners I've put the months as well. I know we've got the numbers to tell the months, so because I'm doing mine as a yearbook, I've actually gone through my crafty stash and I found some stamps with the months in, so I've just added a bit of detail there. But you can really go to town with these pages if you wish. You know, if you're doing this as a yearbook for yourself, you know, you can use all the dies and everything. But, you know, this is being passed on to Sarah to use. So next stage is doing our numbers. So I've used the dies, so this is December, so this is 12, so I've used the dies to cut out that lovely pearlised cardstock, so they're cut out absolutely beautifully. Now I could drop shadow those, but because we used the stencil in the corner, if I bring it around the right way, because we use the stencil over here in the corner, I'm going to use the stencil to give me a lovely border around my numbers. So the way I'm going to do this, and the easiest way I've found, is I've obviously picked my pattern paper, and I've used this because it will complement the page and my numbers. So what you're going to do is make sure for a start your stencil is round the right way, and the way you're going to do this is to pop your stencil over the top of it. Okay, now I found my pencil shows better if I'm doing it on the reverse. So what I'm going to do is flip this over. Still got this in situ, so you can see it's back to front. Now when we did the line for the page, I used the first line in, so this time I'm going to go to the next one in that makes it even smaller. So now I know that's the exact right way round that I want to have it. I'm going to pop that on there right as far as I can in the corner, and then just again with your pencil I'm going round in those lines. So as you can see, I'm going to the smaller size, so this is going to give me a lovely border around my numbers. You know, this is the nice thing about these stencils, is you know, you can use them just so easy. So I've got my nice number there, and just with a pair of scissors just follow your pencil line to cut that out. It's as easy as that. And when you're fussy cutting like this, keep your scissors in the same place and turn your cardstock, and that will help you get smoother lines. So for anybody new to crafting, it's just a little top tip there I can give you. So can you see I'm manoeuvring the cardstock but keeping my scissors at the same angle. I'm not sort of trying to go, I'm not doing this, I'm not going around corners like that. I'm moving the cardstock, not my scissors, and then this will help you get a good covering. And then to finish that off, I've taken my Harmony ink, and I found Sandstorm works particularly well with this collection, and I've just inked the edges. So it just gives that finished look to those. Then that can be stuck down with my number 2, but I also need to do my number 1, so I'm going to get that done, and then we'll stick that down. I'll show you what else I've been up to. So they're stuck down ready to go, and this is where you can choose how you want to lay them, whether you want to have them laying over the top of one another, because we don't want them taking up too much space. We want this space for our photographs. So I think I'm going to lay it like that. So let's partly stick this one down using the tacky because I want a quick grip, and then before I stick too much down, I'll just pop the number 1 under there. So we've got our 12. Just make sure that's stuck down nicely. So that's as easy as it is to get the pages together. I haven't put too much embellishments because obviously we don't want it too thick. And what I've done is, if I go through to first, you can see all the pages here are all ready to go. Okay, so they look quite plain at the moment, but if we go through to January, I've started adding some of Sarah's photographs. So I've added some photographs here. These are the boys on the train going for their day out in York with Sarah, so I put a little tag there with the date on and what was going on, so that can just slide behind there. Get behind there, you little pesky tag. Okay, and here we've got, this was the 1st of January when Sarah had all the friends, or the gang as she calls them. This is all Oliver and Charlie's friends all to stay for a party and a sleepover. This is the children at the museum, and here's Sarah with the new Crafters Companion building, the Crafters Companion US, when they moved into their new home. So I thought that's a good one to put on there as well. So what I do with them is get the photographs. I've printed my photographs off a little bit smaller, but you can print them off bigger, and I'm going to show you how we're going to do that. So I'm going to just pop that down there, and by doing that I know my tag's going to be alright, but you can see the difference in a page once you start adding your photographs. Okay, so you can see the difference that you've got there. If I flip this over to number 2, it looks quite plain, doesn't it? But once you add those photographs, wow, you're going to get that big impact. And what I've done right at the back of the book is I've put a page here, because this is number 12, and then this was the back of the book, so I've put a big sheet here. I've just printed on the computer places we visited in 2019. So I put here Castle Museum York, so she can just put a little note of all the places that the family visited in the 2019. And then here I've made 2 little pockets. One says photo mats and one says journal tags. And out the collection, what I've done is I've created some little photo mats. So these aren't 6x4 in size. I've cut them down a bit smaller. So if you look on a sheet, you can put 2 down horizontally, or landscape, or you can have 2 portrait, or you can do as I've done on page 1 and just cut them smaller and stick as many in as you like. But on each month you can get 4 images, so just a nice way to document your year. So they're going to go in the top there, and then I've done lots of these little journaling tags here. So I've not made them too big, but I've done lots in the collection, just out the scraps of paper that I had left from cutting photo mats out and doing numbers and things. There's a lovely collection of colours here, so they're all going to just go in this back pocket here. So as Sarah adds her photographs, she can write little journaling tag, pop it on with the photographs, and it's all ready to go. It's just a lovely way to document your year. But as I said, this could be for a child's going through school, so you could do, you know, each year of their school. So you could do their grade 1, grade 2, you know, you could do their year. You could do a baby's first year and each month. So there's lots of things that you could actually do with this mini book like this. So there's lots of ways you could use it. But let's finish off. Now at the back, I've got my back cover, and I've put a little ribbon on here to tie it together. So now let's move and do the front cover, because it does look a bit plain, doesn't it? And we don't want it looking too plain. So what I've done here is I've taken some of that lovely pearlised cardstock. So I've cut this down to, it is 8 inches by 10 inches. So again, we have that nice border all the way around. And you know you have that lovely 3D embossing folder in the collection. What I've done is I've popped this through my Gemini. I had to put it through the big Gemini, so all I did was popped it through like that, and then I turned it and I popped it through like that. So I've got it in two corners. I've got that lovely rose, or you know, that lovely flower decoration in the 3D. But before I stick this down, I'm going to use some of this lovely seam binding. So we've got a bow to tie our book together, and I'm just looking for my double-sided tape, which is just here. So I'm going to bring it in quite a bit because I don't want this falling apart, as we say. So this is really sturdy double-sided tape I'm using here. So I'm going to stick that on there, pop my seam binding on, so it's going to be well under the cover there. And then just take a nice length, because you want to be able to tie a nice bow with that. So that's using the seam binding. And then we can attach this to the front cover. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go on with some of my strong tape around the edge, and I'm going to use my glue as well. Now with your 3D embossing folders, you do have all that detail showing, so when you're actually sticking this down, you want to make sure you try and get the glue in all those little pockets. I mean, I think that looks lovely in the deboss as well as the emboss. I think it's a lovely folder to have. So, you know, this is where paper collections that Sarah brings out, they're great for doing projects like this because everything matches. I've not had to think about the card stock and the paper stock and is it going to fit, is it going to work, because I know it all goes together. And I've really enjoyed doing this yearbook, and I do hope Sarah enjoys it too, and she can go ahead and fill this with lovely photographs and memories, because we take lots of photographs on our phones these days and we forget to print them out. But this is a lovely way to, I've just, you know, there's space there for 4+ photos on each month, but it's just enough to sort of document the highlights of each month. You know, if you've been to a special wedding or it's someone's birthday, it's just a lovely way to just take a few photographs off and enjoy them, get them down, get them, use them. So people often say to me, well, how do you pick your photographs? You know, I'm a scrapbooker and I know many of you out there are, and they say, how do you pick your photographs? I personally say, when I'm going through them, the one that puts a smile on my face is the one that I print off and scrapbook. I don't delete any of the others, I always keep them, but it's the one that puts that smile on your face is the one you're going to scrapbook. So just make sure that glue is dispersing underneath, and by using the all-purpose, if you can get hold of it, again it sets like concrete, so it's going to give more stability to this book. Finishing touch, being a yearbook, we need to have the year. So this is 2019. So again, using those lovely dies, which are absolutely perfect. You get a crisp cut every time. I've gone through 300 GSM cardstock. I've gone through paper. They cut beautifully every time. So we can put our number on here. Okay, so we can choose how we want to do it. I've popped these onto some double-sided adhesive. These are the double-sided adhesive sheets that we use for the cover. So it's just going to help me get these stuck down, and I've picked the lilac to pick out the lilac of the edge of the book. You know, you could make, with these numbers, you could make one of these every year. That's the beauty of them. These numbers are going to be so useful in your crafty stash. Definitely. There's something I think you're going to come back to time and again, not just for cards. You know, you could put children's numbers on cards and use them in your card making, but you're going to be able to use these in so many other ways as well, and I think that is why I thoroughly enjoyed using them. I've enjoyed making the project, but already my mind is going with how else I could use these great numbers, because they're a perfect size. You know, it's nice to have dies that are just that little bit bigger to give us a bit more that we can do with our crafting. Now I like the way that lays over, so now I'm going to press that all down to stick. You may have noticed I've put a little bit of my gilding wax over my 3D embossing just to bring that out, but I think that looks a fantastic cover like that. Can tie our mini book up. So the mini book overall measures 8 1/4 by 10 1/4, but isn't that a lovely gift to give to somebody, to keep for yourself? You know, you could make these every year and have those as books on your shelf documenting your family's year. You know, and if you go inside, if you're giving it for a gift, at the back you've got all those tags and photo mats ready. for anybody that wants to do them. But if you're doing it yourself, just fill it with photographs and enjoy documenting your year. So I hope you've enjoyed the project. I've thoroughly enjoyed making it, as you can see. I'm going to be sad to pass this on, but I know Sarah will enjoy it as well. So here's my yearbook made with those amazing dies with the complementing stencils. So have a go and make one yourself.